The police handcuffed a Marine sniper, and then a 4-star general walked into the courtroom to apologize. The cuffs clicked onto Sara Miche's wrists, the cold metal biting harder than necessary, contrasting sharply with the heat of humiliation flooding her face. At 34, she never imagined a simple parking lot misunderstanding would land her in a precinct like a common criminal. "She's dangerous, Sarge," Officer Johnson muttered to his partner, tightening the cuffs deliberately. "Look at her glare, a crazy vet." Sara stayed silent, her green eyes fixed on the wall ahead. 15 years in the Navy had taught her some battles weren't worth fighting. But deep in her chest, something burned. A mix of outrage and the eerie calm only those who've faced worse can muster. I'd overheard Johnson whisper to Derek days ago, "Sara Miche's a loose cannon, easy to pin." A chilling setup that now echoed in the precinct. The incident was absurd. Sara was leaving the supermarket when she saw 2 men forcing an elderly woman to hand over her purse. Instinct kicked in, she approached calmly, de-escalated without violence, and the thieves fled. When police arrived, those same thugs, cronies of Derek, pointed at her as their accomplice. "That's her, officer! She was with us!" one shouted, desperate to deflect. "She's trouble." Derek had bragged in a text, "Got those guys to flip on Sara Miche, she's done," which I'd glimpsed on his phone. Now she was cuffed like a crook while the real culprits walked free due to inconsistent statements. "Full name," the desk officer demanded, barely looking up. "Sara Elizabeth Miche. Occupation? Auto mechanic." She chose not to mention her 15 years of military service. Experience taught her it often backfired. Deputy Adams strutted in, radiating the arrogance of unchecked power. "So, you're the heroine playing savior," he sneered. His tone dripped with sarcasm. "Let me guess, traumatized vet thinking she's still at war?" Sara took a deep breath. His smugness screamed he thrived on humiliating those he deemed lesser. "I was helping an old lady, sir," she said evenly. Sure, Adams scoffed, flipping through a file. "Car maintenance. Nice career for a hero," Adams had told Derek. "Miche's an easy mark, we'll break her." A conversation I'd caught in the precinct hallway. What Adams didn't know was that Sara Miche wasn't just any mechanic. In the Navy, she'd been one of the deadliest snipers of her generation, saving dozens in classified Middle East missions. Her grease-stained hands had once steadied a rifle with surgical precision at over 1,000 meters, but Sara had long learned some secrets stay buried until the right moment. "Well," Adams continued, "you're staying here until we figure out what really happened. And between us, Missy, it's not looking good for you." As they led her to a cell, Sara noticed something the cops missed. A photo on the sheriff's desk of Adams shaking hands with local politicians, a banner behind them reading, "Constructora Mauricio y Asociados." The same company that mysteriously fired 3 veteran mechanics last month for budget cuts. She smiled faintly. In 15 years of service, she'd learned coincidences were rarely just that. I'd found a Mauricio invoice in Derek's office, linking him to their shady deals, a clue I'd tucked away. Now, in that damp cell, she began connecting dots, forming a web far larger than a misunderstanding. What Deputy Adams and his cronies didn't suspect was that the woman they'd just cuffed had spent years gathering intel, forging connections far beyond their small precinct. I'd kept a hidden journal, noting Derek's suspicious ties to Mauricio, which I'd shared with Liam. She never entered a fight without knowing how to win. If this tale of courage and grit hooks you, subscribe, because what's coming proves underestimating the wrong person can be your fatal mistake. The cell's cold didn't faze Sara. In Iraq, she'd slept in makeshift bunkers under constant shelling. The moldy air and drunken shouts next door were practically a spa compared to what she'd endured. But her mind didn't rest. While other inmates snored, Sara processed every detail. The Mauricio photo, the veteran firings, the thug's quick release. It screamed corruption. A pattern her military instincts flagged instantly. I'd caught Adams muttering to Derek, "Miche's trouble," but Mauricio's paying to shut her up. A slip I'd overheard near the precinct. The next morning brought a jolt. "Miche visitor," a surly guard grumbled, annoyed at working Saturday. In the visitation room stood Marcus Chen, a middle-aged Asian man in a sharp suit, his alert eyes and rigid posture betraying a military past. "Sergeant Chen? Retired Marine," he said softly. "Now a lawyer. Heard about your case via the Veteran Network. Something's fishy." Sara studied him. "How do you know I served?" "Your posture when they dragged you in," he said. "I spot a warrior. Plus, I made calls." Sara Miche, 15 years Navy, 3 tours, Special Ops. "Funny, that's missing from your police file." "I keep it low-key," she said. "It draws trouble." Chen nodded. "I get it, but it's time to switch gears. I dug into Adams, he's dirty." Chen had emailed me weeks prior. "Your service record's impressive, Sara. I'm watching," I'd noted. Chen revealed Adams' shady financial ties to local firms, including Morizot. Over 2 years, 6 veterans were arrested on flimsy charges after crossing Morizot lum business. "It's a system," Chen said. "Veterans are easy prey. Society's prejudiced, especially against women vets. Adams cashes in." Back in her cell, another surprise came. Eleanor Washington, the elderly woman Sara saved, appeared with her daughters. "I'm Eleanor, dear," she said, eyes wet. "I'm here to thank you and tell them what really happened. You saved me from those brutes." "Mrs. Washington, you don't need to get involved," Sara said. "Nonsense," Eleanor snapped. "At 78, I've seen too much injustice to stay quiet. My daughter works at City Hall. We know Adam's dirty deals." Eleanor had sent me a video of the incident, confirming Sara's heroism, which I'd passed to Liam. She slipped Sara a paper with phone numbers. "People who can help. Those thieves? They've been arrested before. Adams always cuts them loose for favors." I'd seen Eleanor's note to a counselor, "Adams protects criminals for Moriezo," tucked in her purse. That night, Sara used her one call not for family, but for a number burned into memory. A commanding voice answered. "General Patricia Ayez." "General, it's ex-Sergeant Saranch. Operation Sand Strike," Sara said. A pause. "Where the hell are you?" Ayez growled. "I've been tracking you since you left the service." Sara explained her plight. Ayez's voice turned icy. "Adams has no idea who he's messing with." "That proof?" "Building it," Sara said. "Then move fast," Ayez said. "You've got my full support." I'd kept Ayez's number from the mission debrief. A secret Ace now played. Ayez, a 4-star general whose life Sara saved in an Afghan ambush, was a force. The next day, Adams barged in, rattled. "What's your game, Miche?" he snarled. "Pentagon's calling about a military person of interest. Who do you know?" Sara stayed blank. "No idea what you mean." I'd learned Ayez had contacted the precinct, hinting at Sara's classified status without naming her. He slammed the desk. "You're done when I figure this out." But Adams didn't know Sara had spent years infiltrating terror cells, playing vulnerable to expose enemies. I'd recorded his outburst on a smuggled device Liam got to me, stacking evidence. He'd just lit the fuse for her counterattack. By Monday, Adams, smug again, ordered, "Johnson, prep papers to transfer Miche to state prison." Add resisting arrest and officer threats. At 10:47 a.m., everything flipped. 3 black SUVs and an army comms van screeched up to the precinct. Adams gaped from his window as uniformed personnel disembarked. Leading them was General Patricia Ayez, 52, 4 stars gleaming, her presence commanding instant respect. 2 colonels and a Pentagon press aide flanked her. "Where's Deputy Ayez?" Ayez demanded, freezing the receptionist. Adams stumbled out, feigning calm. "How can I help?" "General Patricia Ayez, U.S. Army Central Command," she said coldly. "I'm here for Sergeant Major Sara Miche." "Sergeant Major?" Adams stammered. "Must be a mistake. She's just a mechanic." Ayez cut him off, her gaze lethal. "Sergeant Major Sara Elizabeth Miche, Medal of Honor, Silver Star, Purple Heart, 15 years U.S. Navy, 3 classified ops tours. She saved my life and 32 others in an Afghan ambush." "One of America's deadliest snipers, and you arrested her for helping an old woman?" Chen entered with Eleanor and her daughters, plus a local TV reporter tipped off discreetly. "Oh, and Sheriff," Chen said, smirking. Hope you enjoyed the Pentagon calls. That was General Ais, asking about her savior. Adams tried to recover. We didn't know. She didn't say she was military. Why should she? Ais snapped. Veterans like Miche know civilians often see our service as instability, not honor. Especially women. You proved that. Eleanor spoke up. I recorded our talk about how you fix things for city businessmen. My daughter's at City Hall. We've known about your side deals for years. A colonel handed Adams a folder. Copies sent to the State Inspector General, FBI, and U.S. Attorney. Call logs between you and Mauricio execs, plus patterns of veteran arrests over 2 years. Adams opened it, hands shaking. Bank statements, call transcripts, a list of targeted veterans. How'd you get this? He whispered, ashen. Sara, now escorted out, drew every eye with quiet dignity. Sheriff, when you underestimate someone based on bias, you never know who you're really facing. Eyes turned to her, voice thick. Sergeant Miche, on behalf of the U.S. Army, I apologize for your treat. It's an affront to all who serve with honor. Thank you, General, Sara said. But Adams should apologize. Not to me, but to every veteran he's hurt for personal gain. Chen approached with legal papers. Sheriff, I'm also suing you for wrongful detention, defamation, and violating Miche's civil rights. Initial claim, $3 million, 0 cents. Adams made a last-ditch plea. This is a misunderstanding. I was just doing my job. Eleanor laughed bitterly. Son, at 78, I've seen plenty of corrupt sheriffs. You weren't just incompetent. You were deliberately cruel. The reporter, cameras rolling, closed in. Sheriff Adams, comment on allegations you took bribes to target veterans. Adams realized his career was over. Live on air, his wife likely watching, the city learning he'd sold justice to the highest bidder. It wasn't like that, he mumbled, voice weak. Sara held her composure. General Ais, I don't need revenge. Truth is enough. I just hope this stops other veterans from suffering what I did. As cuffs clicked onto Adams's wrists, replacing those once on Sara, a question lingered. Would Sara's transformation from sniper to justice symbol spark broader systemic change? 6 months later, Sara Miche stood on the National Veterans Convention's main stage, receiving a standing ovation from 5,000 service members. The Civilian Courage Award gleamed in her hands, matching her radiant smile. When they cuffed me, she said, voice clear over the auditorium, I thought I was facing one corrupt cop. I didn't know I'd expose a system targeting veterans. The federal probe, triggered by her case, led to 12 arrests, including 3 Mauricio execs paying Adams bribes. Mauricio collapsed, losing $23 million, 0 cents in contracts after their crimes surfaced. Over 40 veterans received $23 million, 0 cents in reparations. Chen, now heading a national veteran rights firm with 17 lawyers, watched proudly. Sara turned personal injustice into collective justice, he told reporters. She didn't just fight back, she rewrote the rules. Adams, serving 8 years for corruption, extortion, and rights violations in Indiana State Prison, fell hard. His wife divorced him after texts revealed his cruel jokes about useless vets and plans to cleanse the city. His kids disowned him, changing their names. His ill-gotten home was auctioned to pay victims. In prison, he learned what it meant to be treated as a common crook. Know who got me here? He griped to his cellmate, a Vietnam vet jailed for trafficking. A damn mechanic. The vet laughed. Man, you locked up a decorated Marine sniper and call her simple? You don't get it. Adams never would. Sara chose auto repair post service to stay under the radar, seeking peace. But when forced to fight, she revealed her true self. A strategic warrior with connections to power's highest echelons. I'd discovered Adams's ledger, detailing Mauricio payoffs, which I'd slipped to Chen Eleanor Washington, now 79, became a fierce veteran rights advocate, her courage to speak foundation aiding 200-plus vets in similar cases. That girl saved me twice, she told news outlets, first from thieves, then from a rotten system. She taught me age is no excuse to stay silent. The precinct was overhauled, 3 cops fired, and the new veteran sheriff posted a sign, "We serve with honor." A new protocol mandated checking military records before veteran arrests. Eyes visited Sara often, their bond now one of friendship. "Your greatest win wasn't toppling Adams," Eyes said over lunch at Sara's shop. "It was showing veterans aren't victims, but survivors who build empires when underestimated." Sara smiled, gazing out at her workshop, now a 3-building complex employing only vulnerable veterans. I'd seen Sara's blueprint for the expansion, funded by vet donations, in her office. From a small garage, Miche Veterans Enterprises grew into a $2 million 0 cents a year training hub with a wait list of employers. Sara's saga spurred laws in all 50 states protecting veterans in the justice system. Her name was floated for Senate, but she preferred hands-on work. "Politicians make laws," she said. "I change lives, one at a time." I'd found Sara's notebook, detailing years of corruption evidence, a ticking bomb she'd wielded perfectly. Chen joked Sara applied military tactics to civilian life with surgical precision. Target identified, intel gathered, mission executed, civilians protected. At the award ceremony asked what advice she'd give veterans facing injustice, Sara said, "Don't seek revenge, seek justice. Revenge only satisfies you. Justice shields those who follow. And remember, anyone underestimating a veteran doesn't grasp the discipline, strategy, and connections they're up against." Adams, watching the ceremony from prison, finally grasped his mistake. He hadn't just misjudged one woman, but a code of honor, a battle-forged brotherhood, a loyalty network he'd never comprehend. His fatal error was thinking a uniform defined worth. Sara's shop now employed 43 veterans, offering not just jobs but second chances. A photo of her with Ais, beside her Medal of Honor, adorned the wall, reminding all that heroes aren't defined by birth or uniform, but by action in adversity. I'd seen Sara's speech draft, vowing to expose more corruption, a promise that shook the system. "When someone belittles you with bias," she told the roaring crowd, "they don't know your story. Sometimes the best lesson is being exactly who you are, building something bigger than they can imagine, proving true strength isn't in crushing foes, but in crafting a legacy that renders them irrelevant." If this story of transformation stirs you, subscribe for more tales of turning injustice into epic triumphs. True heroes are often the least expected, wielding quiet strength to rewrite the game.